the Dive Line podcast. I'm Jim and this is Craig.
Hello.
Hello. So this is the forerunner really to our episode 1 of series 1, and we wanted to do some introductions really as to who we are, what we're about, and give you a little bit of history about ourselves really. But before we do that, Craig's going to give us some information on what you can expect to see on the podcast and via Facebook and our website. So Craig.
Thanks, Jim. Also, a very big welcome to all of the previous listeners of Scuba Confidential.
Yeah,
it's great to have you with us, and as you know, Scuba Confidential stopped at the end of 2019. We were hoping to have Marcus filling the gap in the middle, but unfortunately there's other commitments he has to deal with at the moment, but we're looking forward to him joining us later in the year.
Yeah.
So what are we going to be covering in the interim? Well, we're going to go everywhere from those taking their very first steps into this wonderful world of scuba, right through to technical and pro diving. We will look at training and further education in diving, some trips to some fantastic destinations around the world, equipment, the environmental issues, which we both know, Jim,
absolutely.
is something that's very close to the hearts of all divers.
Yeah, I think all divers have a responsibility now to do something when they're diving, you know, and to take care of these oceans and seas that we're all diving in and enjoying. I think
Absolutely.
every single diver needs to do something to help protect that.
Yep.
Otherwise there's nothing for us to see anymore, is there?
There.
I mean, when we talk later on, some of the things that you've seen, some of the things that I've seen, well, they might not be there for future generations unless we do something.
Absolutely.
So I think that's vitally important that we do something.
Yeah, so also we will be looking at various different types of diving, as you said, dives that we've done and dives that we want to do. Everything from wrecks and reefs to boats and drifts and caves and all the different types of diving that are out there. Twin sets and side mounts. An argument that we'll have continually, I think. But also you mentioned about the website. So for those of you listening to us in podcast land, we do have a YouTube channel. And if you'd like to actually see us and our guests, and also when we do equipment reviews, underwater photography, cameras and that sort of thing, if you head on over to our YouTube channel, you'll actually be able to see us as well as listen to them. Whilst we're on the subject of social media, we have a Facebook page, which is a fantastic way of you keeping in touch, letting us know what you want to hear about, and that's the Dive Line. And finally, in social media, at the moment we have our new website, which is thediveline.com. Much more than just our podcast, which of course will be on there, but Jim's an instructor and we will have lots of how-to instructional videos, and I think plenty of how not to as well.
Absolutely,
Jim.
yeah.
Also some deals on gear and links to liverboards and an awful lot more on the website. So head on over, have a look, check it out and bookmark the page.
If there's anything that we don't cover, get in touch.
Tell us on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Let's start with the introductions, Jim. Tell us about you and how you actually got involved with diving in the first place.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think my journey started probably with tri-dives in, going on holiday when I was a bit younger, and guy coming along on the beach trying to sell me a dive, and I'd done that several times and really enjoyed it, but never got around to doing the courses. Always wanted to do it. I was lucky enough to live in Spain for a little while. And I still didn't take it up, but when I moved back to the UK, everything kind of fell into place, and I did my open water and my advanced open water together. I went to Simply Diving in Costa del Sol with a guy that I know really well now, Simon Bell. He's a really top guy, really top class resort to go and learn to dive.
Be great to get him on as a guest and tell us some of the stories that
I'm sure he's got a story or two. I'd love to get him on and have a chat with him. But yeah, I learned to dive with them, and you know, I had probably all the same fears and all the same problems as most open water students do. I was petrified of taking my mask off in the sea, and all sorts of things. So, but I did get through it and I qualified. And when I got back to the UK, I had two friends that were professional divers. Andrew was a dive master and Duncan was an instructor. a
Excellent.
master scuba diver trainer.
So you got to dive with some
I got
experienced
to
people.
dive with these guys, and you know that was it was relatively easy because they looked after me, and I knew I was looked after, but I did learn a lot from those guys. But while watching them, I thought, you know, especially Andrew, I thought, you know, being a dive master is so easy. All he does is just help people into gear and sit at the back. That's all he does.
That's it. That's
You
all
know,
there is to being a dive master.
Exactly, that's all there is. I thought, well, I can do that. But obviously, to do that, I had to do the rescue course, which is a prerequisite to the dive master course. So I did the rescue course. If you can remember yours, it's a tough course. Back October 2014 it was.
But very satisfying because it's so tough.
Absolutely. I mean,
probably the
rescue-
most. Everyone says the most satisfying of all the courses.
I think it is the best course you will ever do. It flips everything on its head a little bit. I mean, we won't go into it in detail now because we can do an episode.
Another
on the
episode.
rescue,
We'll save that for.
But yeah, I did my rescue and sort of then signed up for my dive master, knowing that, you know, all I had to do was help people into their gear and look cool, sitting at the back of the group, you know. Obviously, I found out it was a little bit different to that after doing my dive master training. Certainly, some of the skills that I had to do in my first skill circuit, which were terrible. But yeah, so I qualified as a dive master, and I did that for almost 4 years. Only because I wanted to learn how to be a good dive master. I wanted to be in demand, you know, and I did that, and I loved it, and it was a great place to be as dive master. But it wasn't challenging anymore, and so the next step for me, as a natural born leader as well,
Of course.
of course, was to be an instructor. So I did that back in 2018, and yeah, I just love teaching people. Like your photography, which you'll talk about, you're passionate about that. I'm passionate about teaching. One of the guys that I know that was actually on my rescue course is a GP, and he's passionate about the diving medicine. And because I'm passionate, I love talking about it. I love going with students and telling them little bits of information that maybe aren't in a manual, and just passing all my knowledge on and experience on, helping
Passing on your
these people.
experiences, yeah.
You know, one of the biggest things for me, one of the greatest rewards that I had was an open water diver. There was the wife, the husband, and the son, and I was just a dive master, and the husband and the son had gone down the line on the first dive, and the wife was refusing to go down. So I was sitting on the surface with her, trying to get her down. And it took some considerable time and persuasion, but we eventually got her down, and she qualified and finished the course. She's now one of the dive masters at our local dive centre.
Fantastic.
And
yeah.
you know, and she reminds me, and she says to me all the time, if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't be diving. And you know, that's no more satisfaction needed than that, is there?
No, that's the pinnacle.
And that is to me helping her and passing on that knowledge and experience. And so, like I say, becoming an instructor was a natural progression, I think, for me. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I love teaching people and passing on all of that knowledge. Is amazing. We are predominantly, obviously, scuba and diving related. I want you guys to know a little bit about me. So I also love football. I love football, but I do love a certain football team or soccer team, depending on where you are, and that is Leeds United. They are the greatest team in the land. You know, I've opened myself up there for all sorts, haven't I?
You have,
So,
Jim, yeah.
you know, bring it on.
Everyone knows the mighty Spurs are bigger and better.
Never heard of them. So bring it on. You know, I've heard everything about Leeds that I could possibly hear, but there may be something new out there. So, you know, chuck it at me. We'll see where it goes. But, you know, I'm a big boy. I can take it. So yeah, I love football. And something else you might not know, my name, actually, it's more than a nickname. Everybody calls me this. They call me Fridge.
They do.
Yeah. So I actually got the name from William Perry, the Chicago Bears American football. Yeah. Obviously, the likeness and it's uncanny.
An image of.
Yeah, uncanny. I mean, if you don't know who William Perry is or the Chicago Bears, have a look on Google, look him up. But I'm named after him.
Almost identical.
Genuinely named after him. That's a story for another day. But,
I think so.
Yeah, everybody, even my other half, everybody calls me Fridge, and that's what I respond to. So there you go. That's a little bit about me and myself, but there'll be more coming up. I'm sure you'll learn lots more about us as the episodes go on. Mm-hmm. More insights into who we are and what makes us tick. So what about you, Craig? Tell them about you.
So as far as Scuba's concerned, my very first experience was in the early 80s actually. A friend of mine's dad had a swimming pool at home.
So you took it up late as well then?
Yeah. So a friend of mine had a swimming pool. His dad had a swimming pool at his home. And he was a very keen diver, but predominantly UK, dived all over the country in Scapa Flow and all those sorts of places. So my very first experience was sitting at the bottom of his swimming pool with no BCD, just a pair of trunks, tank next to me, regulator.
You were in a pair of trunks.
Don't go there. Regulator in the mouth and a mask on, and thinking, superpower, I can breathe underwater.
Yeah.
You know, that amazing feeling of actually taking that first breath in and being hesitant and being able to breathe. And skip forward 10 years and didn't actually get to go diving in between, but got married in '93 and was fortunate enough to go to the Maldives for my honeymoon for 3 weeks.
I went to Yorkshire for 3 days.
3 weeks in the Maldives. And so we're on this tiny little island, and when I say tiny, 900 yards long by 300 yards wide. You could walk round the island with your feet in the sea.
Is that really classed as an island?
Yeah, 15-20 minutes. It was a bump in the sand,
that's what
a sand
I mean.
bump in the ocean, I think it was. But all that's on the island is the accommodation, a restaurant and a paddy dive school. And I'm not a beach person that can sit there for 3 weeks on the beach. So of course I did my open water. And in the Maldives, you particularly on this island, you did the first few dives inside the house reef. So each of the Maldivian islands have a house reef around the outside, and the water inside is like it's run out of a tap, just crystal clear. So we did our normal skills. This is a paddy dive centre. It was a German husband and wife that owned it, and they'd been there a long time, 12 years in 1993. And so we did our first dives in the inside of the house reef, and then the very first open water dive, we went out into the sea on a boat, and not very far from the island to a reef system. And there's 12 of us on board, 6 with the husband. We've dropped them in the water. The boat's moved 600 yards along. We're getting in the water with the wife, and I'm first on board to get in. I'm ready. So I'm on the surface, BCD full of air, put my mask on, look down. Underneath me is a whale shark. And when I say underneath me, 5 foot underneath me.
That's
incredible. I felt like I could reach down and touch its
What
feet.
an introduction to diving.
Well, I thought this diving looks kind of cool. Look at the stuff you're going to see. This is fantastic.
I've never seen one.
No, and I've travelled to many destinations all over the world where whale sharks are known to be. Mexico and lots of places. Never ever seen another one. 27 years later.
That's amazing, isn't it?
So one of my first open water dives.
Wow.
So because I was there for 3 weeks, I got to do 20 plus dives, and towards the end of the week, those that were experienced enough, they took to a place called Shark Point, and it was like
there sharks there?
There was black tip and white tip reef sharks, and it was
wow.
like a cleaning station.
Yeah.
So there was a staircase down and a staircase back up, and at the bottom of the staircase, which is about 25 metres, the shark swam through.
Wow.
And we were hanging on in the
So
car.
this is your open water course. You've got a whale shark.
Finished
You've
open
got
water course, yeah.
reef sharks.
But my first dive experiences, reef sharks
Wow.
and watching the little cleaner fish clean the gills of the sharks. Right.
That's a hell of a honeymoon.
Yeah. Oh, the wife was there too.
Hell of a honeymoon.
But yeah, so that was my introduction, and then did a little bit of diving after that, but stopped because of my age, building a business, kids growing up. Life took over. talking about work, I'm fortunate enough in my job in the marine industry to travel, as you know, Jim. And for many years, I kept watching people going out the marinas as I'm working on boats, thinking, "I've got to do my diving." And so eventually in 2014, I thought this year I'm going to. Went to the local dive company here in Norfolk where we are, and I thought I'd start again. When I did it in '93, we didn't even have computers; it was all tables, and so I'd forgotten so much.
Yeah.
So I did my open water and my advanced open water and my dry suit all together over a period of a month, and so of course was introduced to Stony Cove, the National Dive Centre in the middle of the UK. Got a fabulous place. The Maldives, it's not, but fabulous place.
You know, it depends where you're from and what you're used to, isn't it? You know, for us in the UK, we don't have sort of environments like the Maldives and some of these crystal clear waters, you know, and we do have to do inland diving. So Stony Cove is actually our preferred training centre that we go to as instructors, and you know, a lot of people do, and I love it. I absolutely love Stony Cove. Getting my dry suit on, and you know, I wouldn't actually mind getting one of the guys up there, Gary Price, who's one of
as a guest,
to come on and tell us all about Stony Cove, because it is an amazing place, and I actually miss it when I don't get out there.
So going on from there,
you are going on a bit, to be fair.
Managed to get a lot of dives in, and took my big passion of photography underwater, and so that's something that's quite close to the heart, and we'll be talking about in future episodes.
Definitely.
And I know it's something that doesn't excite you very much, but
not particularly. I think
I'm passionate about
photographers. They're just the worst buddies, aren't they?
They can be. I mean, no, you're right. Absolutely. I'm despair sometimes when I see people with what they do. You know, they're so intent on that GoPro in their hand and the camera that they're not watching what their fins are doing, and
exactly.
There are people with cameras that you need to sort their buoyancy out before they put.
But diving is predominantly fun, and we always talk about it being fun, and you know, not bound down to peer pressure and everything. Just enjoy what you're doing. Going with a photographer, they just drop down, they get in a position, they sit there, especially you with your twin tanks, you just sit there for 2 hours just going, I'm off swimming. You're a rubbish buddy.
No, we're not that bad. Sometimes I'll turn around the photograph that way.
Absolute rubbish buddy.
So
each to their own.
Absolutely. So a little bit about me that's got nothing to do with scuba diving outside of the world of scuba. I suppose my passion is my volunteer work, and as you know, I work for British Divers Marine Life Rescue, also known BDMLR. It's a charity that covers the whole of the coast of the UK, and the only charity, the wildlife rescue, that does so. There are 2,500 of us volunteers.
Is there really?
Yeah, that actually cover the whole of the coast from Scotland down to Cornwall and both sides, east and west. And we attend seal rescues. Any marine mammal, you know, it could be whales beaching themselves, it could be dolphins, porpoises. Here on the Norfolk coast, where we are in the UK, we actually have 45% of the world's population of grey seals. So for us, it's a lot of seals.
I mean, I did see, obviously, on your own personal Facebook, you do often put pictures on of some of the rescues that you've done, and I mean, that is pretty amazing. That, you know, like Craig has said, he's a volunteer, and there's 2,500 volunteers. Then the work you do is amazing. I mean, I was supposed to do this last year, but never got around to doing it. It's something I should really take up. But it must be so rewarding.
It is. I mean, particularly when a seal that you've rescued has gone to a wildlife centre because of
the action you took.
Yeah, and then got released.
Yeah.
And that's really satisfying. Yeah. And also, our beaches are very busy with dog walkers, and actually getting an injured seal out of harm's way and away from inquisitive people and animals, dogs particularly, and getting that into a position where it can be cared for and then released.
You actually did one this morning, didn't you? You actually went to a local beach to pick up a little seal pup, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a pup, and it was an entanglement, this one. It had a fishing net, probably I would say about 4 foot by 3 foot, 1.2 meters by 0.7 of a meter, and it was wrapped around its neck and had cut in. So that's
funny enough, a good link here. That's actually something else that you're doing next month, are you?
The ghost net training.
Yeah, is that next month?
It is next month, yeah. And the reason why I've transferred to twin sets is because you have to be twin set qualified to actually go and do ghost net diving, and so hence I'm diving in twin sets, inverted twin sets, which is a little bit unusual, and something that I'm sure we'll show you the kit in a future episode.
I think that goes all the way right back to the beginning, like we was talking about the environment and what responsibilities we have as divers. You've obviously taken that up the next level, and you know, that's quite admirable really in my mind. So
I just think it's something that most divers, when you chat to a diver that you've never met, you get on board and you start chatting, it becomes very obvious very quickly that divers care about the environment. We're very close to it, we're involved in it, and we get wet in it, and so, you know, loving our oceans is something that we're all passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Is there any nicknames you have, or anything we need to know about?
None that I would reveal on the podcast.
We'll find out what they are and I'll let you know. Okay, so one of the other things as well, just touching on the work that you do, we're going to the Go Diving Show, which is a big diving show in the UK in Coventry at the end of this month, February. And Craig is working on the BD MLR stand, and I think it's worth noting that, you know, these guys are volunteers. So if you're going to that show and you're in the UK and you've seen this, you've heard this,
bring money.
There's two things. Do bring some money. I think it's you know, these
guys.
The
pound in your pocket will be very.
You know, every single penny that they take goes to helping these animals, and a lot of help is needed. So plus you can get to say hello to Craig. I'll be up there as well, wandering around, so come and say hello. But
I think we should tell people when that is. So that's at the Rico Arena in Coventry in the UK. That's the 22nd and 23rd of February. Fantastic show. Last year was the first year, and we all went along and was really impressed with the support from the industry. All the big major manufacturers.
I think most people were actually mostly impressed with the vodka bar behind the Sunto stand.
It could have been that, but so we're looking forward to that, and come and say hello to, and I'm on the BDMLR site.
Yeah, I'll be there wandering around, and come and say hello. So I think probably that's enough for now about us two bozos. The first episode's coming out in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to do a report on the Go Diving Show. Some of the manufacturers there with the new products coming out, we'll have a little chat about them in a couple of weeks' time. But for now, I think you've probably heard enough. Like Craig said earlier, all those social media outlets, get in touch. And let us know what you're thinking. And
particularly on Facebook, and let us know what you'd like to hear in the future.
Yeah, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.